All right, so it is September 15th, 2023, Friday night, and we're still here on planet Earth, third stone from the sun, as Jimi Hendrix called it. And we're going to sit for 20 minutes, and then, as I said, I'm going to do a bit of a reading from Ajahn Amaro. I will tell you about the book when we get there. I think we're okay here. I have a new computer, which everything has to be plugged in from the other side now. So I've kept my microphone on the other side. So hopefully it all works okay. In fact, I'd like to get it closer. All right. That we'll have to do. All right. So settling into your meditation posture, whatever that is for you, making yourself comfortable and trying to get a sense of balance and alignment in the body. You can close your eyes or just lower your gaze if you're more comfortable having your eyes open. Disconnecting first with the sensations in the body, just feeling yourself sitting. Softening, releasing any tension. Breathing into the belly, softening the belly. Feeling the body breathing, the movement of chest and belly, sensations of air at the nostrils. And bringing the breath into the foreground, into the focus of your attention. Noticing if there are any underlying feelings pulling at you. Anxiety or sadness. Could be a pleasant feeling, uplift, a brightness, joyfulness. But letting the breath merge with the feeling experience, the feeling tone. Noticing any thoughts that take the attention away from the breath. gently coming back. At first, that can feel like a mechanical exercise. Just sitting here, trying to feel the breath, getting swept away with thoughts, just feeling gnawing agitation, restlessness. So it takes a certain amount of patience and persistence. Returning over and over to the breath, each time having a sense of letting go of thoughts, letting go of concerns, fears, any kind of agitating state. And just allowing the natural settling that happens with the body and mind, not striving or trying to make that happen, just trusting in the process. All right. Before I go further, I want to let you know about two upcoming events, live, in person. I'm going to be at the Berkeley Buddhist Monastery on September 30th. It's a Saturday, 10 to 5, teaching a day long on the Anapanasati Sutta, mindfulness of breathing, which, I've been working on that, writing about that sutta for a while, have not finished that particular work, but that'll be fun. And anybody who's in the Bay Area, I hope will find their way down there that day. And the other event, if I could get my website to work, there we go, is the following Saturday at the Sati Center. And both of these will be hybrid for those who are not in the Bay Area. The Sati Center is in Redwood City. It's the same space as the Insight Meditation Center, Gilfronsdale Center. And that's going to be a day on living kindness. So it'd be great to have people show up, and if not, to drop in via Zoom. We'll have to figure out how to, I'm not sure how the Zoom part will work at the monastery. So I'll have to check in with them about that. And so, as I mentioned, I've been reading this book by Ajahn Amaro called Catastrophe Apostrophe, which one of the odder book titles, which he does not do very much to explain in the beginning of the book, but he says something about it. In any case, and it's the book is mostly about dependent origination, which is a very deep and dense topic, and so I'm not reading from that section of the book. This is a section on the three refuges, or the triple gem, as he's referring to them. So I'm going to read a bit from here. This is, if you have the book, it is available on. I got this off the website, the Amaravati website. Just downloaded it. So this is chapter 3, called A Buddha in Every Realm. In the Buddhist tradition, the triple gem, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, forms the centerpiece of our faith and practice. We reflect upon the qualities of these three jewels daily, for example, in the morning and the evening chanting at our monasteries. We recite the attributes of each of them in a formal way, but we also reflect that the elements of the triple gem have both an internal and an external aspect to them. Another subtitle here, Inner and Outer Qualities of the Triple Gem. When we chant our praises, our respect and reverence of the Buddha, this refers in the external sense to Gautama Buddha, our teacher, the founder of this religious tradition, the great master who established this amazing array of teachings and who realized full and complete enlightenment, and who has been a great example and mentor of so many generations of us that have followed after. This is an important aspect of the Triple Gem. Ajahn Chah and other forest Ajahns would emphasize that on a psychological level, the Buddha refuge is not so much the external historical Buddha who passed away 2,563 years ago, very specific, but rather the internal quality of Buddha. That is the true refuge. That is the safe place here and now. A genuine refuge has to be a sanctuary here and now, a memory or an idea of a historical figure, A statue or a shrine is not a safe place. It is an image. It can inspire, but it is not where genuine psychological, spiritual security can be found. The word Buddha literally means the one who is awake, essentially the quality of wakefulness. To take refuge in Buddha is to choose to be awake. It is the choice to embody that very awareness, that knowing, that is the essence of true wisdom. It is an attribute of this heart, your heart, my heart, here and now. So on the internal level, taking refuge in the Buddha is to be aware, to be awake, to employ the quality of awareness, to know the flow of experience here and now. When we think of the jewel of the Dhamma, we often think this refers solely to the Buddha's wisdom, the words of the scriptures, and the many wonderful descriptions and skillful means that are given in the verbal teachings of the Buddha or in the words of great teachers over the centuries. The word Dhamma, however, literally means that which upholds, or that which supports, that which integrates. The word Dhamma also means nature, or the natural order. The Pali word Dhammajati, born of the Dhamma, is the word used in the Thai language to refer to nature, Tamachat, the natural order of things. On an external level, taking refuge in Dhamma means that we are guided by the Buddha's teachings, taking those teachings to be a reliable source of knowledge. On the internal level, taking refuge in Dhamma is choosing to be in harmony with the way things are, to be in harmony with nature. Essentially, it means to choose to live in a way centered on nature rather than centered on our ego, our personality. Taking refuge in Dhamma means that the heart attunes itself to and is in harmony with its own nature, which is also the nature of all things. As Ajahn Chah said, quote, "Everything is Dhamma. Dhamma is nature. If we realize the Dhamma, then we will likewise be the Buddha." From the Collected Teachings of Ajahn Chah, page 485. The taking of refuge in the Sangha also has inner and outer aspects. Externally, this is choosing to be guided by and to take as an example those beings who have awakened to the truth, to the Dhamma, and who are the enlightened disciples of the Buddha. In our daily recollections, we refer to, quote, "the four pairs, the 8 kinds of noble beings," unquote. This means those who have awakened to the different levels of realization. The internal aspect of Sangha is about how we practice, how that noble heart manifests in the world. Refuge in Sangha internally can mean a variety of things, but since the description of the Sangha refuge lists the qualities of goodness, respecting and loving the good, loving to act in a straightforward way, loving to act in a well-integrated way, how to be accomplished in goodness, I feel that the most accurate and helpful way of understanding it is to take refuge in Sangha as, quote, "choosing to listen to the voice in the heart that loves the good." This is the inner aspect of the Sangha refuge, the Sangha jewel. So that captures how, as you said, Ajahn Chah and then the Thai forest monks interpret refuge. And so one of the shorthands that I've heard Ajahn Amaro make, which I believe is common with that tradition, is to say the Buddha is the one who knows, the Dhamma is the truth of the way things are, the Sangha is what arises when the one who knows sees the truth of the way things are. It manifests as goodness, or as as sila, as skillful behavior, kind heart. So I find that very helpful, because just as he's suggesting, this idea of taking refuge can become kind of intellectual. It can be like more of like a faith thing, like, oh, the Buddha, I pray to the Buddha as though the Buddha were still around or something. And I take refuge in the Dharma. We can sort of do this without really taking responsibility, which it really implies that we really have to take responsibility. It's not that we just like say these words, like, I turn my will and my life over to the care of the Dharma, and then I don't have to think about it anymore. It's just the opposite, really. When we take refuge, it's more of a reminder that we need to fulfill these ideas in order to reap the benefits of our practice. So it's that taking refuge in the Buddha is really committing yourself to being as present as you can be in your life. And then taking refuge in the Dhamma is to, as I like to say, try to see your experience through the lens of truth rather than through the lens of self. So, this applies in many situations where we take things personally. And when we can step out of that taking things personally, we can instead see, oh, this is impermanent, this is unsatisfactory, this is not self, there is no self in this situation. So that's like the three characteristics, right? Anicca, dukkha, anatta. And those are kind of the key elements of Dharma that we are invited to use as lenses for seeing our experience. And they are, by definition, impersonal. And this is, I think, the key starting point of taking refuge in the Dharma is to not take things personally, to not think, oh, this is happening to me. You can think that, and it is happening to you on one hand, right? But then it's like, then also to remind yourself that, oh, this is just the Dharma playing out. This is just the natural flow of reality. So knowing that, oh, things all have causes. It's the, cause and effect. The law of karma is playing out. All these things are impermanent. If it's painful, that's natural, because impermanent things can't satisfy us. Things are unsatisfactory. If it's pleasant, to realize, oh, this is impermanent, it's not going to last, or don't be attached to it. And then seeing how we bring self in and identify and think, oh, this is happening to me, and it's about me, and this in some way defines me. This is who I am. This idea of I, me, mine is very helpful when we try to take this perspective to see that something doesn't define me. This is what I often refer to with moods. You get into a mood. I am angry, I am sad, I am anxious, and we're defining ourselves. The verb to be there is basically an equal sign. I equal anxiety, I equal sadness, I equal anger. That's who I am. And to remember that that's just a way of speaking, and to realize, how can I be anger? How can I be sadness? How can I be anxiety? That can't be who I am. So despite the fact that we use that as ordinary language, not to believe that and to remind ourselves, no, that this doesn't define me. This is just what's occurring in this mind body right now. And that it must change. It can't, if it were me, then it wouldn't change, right? That would be who I am. And so that would just be, I just walk around being that feeling or being that person. But when we, again, it's really not even Buddhist to break things down in this way. It's quite logical. No one really, if they think about it, believes that they are defined by a feeling. We often take those feelings on and believe in them, but if you really step back, it's not who we are. And so when we see that and remember impermanence, then it completely changes our relationship to the experience. This unpleasant or difficult experience then becomes much more manageable. And of course, the quality of mindfulness that we bring, which is the Buddha, right, gives us a particular tool for holding our experience, because mindfulness itself has this element of care and acceptance within it. It's a non-resistance, it's a non-conflict. So that when we engage mindfully, which I believe, and I think it's a good way of thinking of it, it contains compassion and loving kindness. When mindfulness is really applied in a wise way, when we apply that to an experience that's difficult, then, and remember, oh, this is impermanent, then we are holding it, but we're not fighting with it. We're not in conflict with it, and we're not building on it. We're just holding it and experiencing it and seeing its nature, seeing its dynamic, impersonal nature, seeing its impersonal nature. When you really just see a feeling or feel a feeling, it doesn't have your name on it. It doesn't have like a tag. It's just, it's just this like state. It's just an energy. It's like stubbing your toe and thinking, oh, that pain in my toe is me. That's who I am. That defines me in some way. And we would never do that, because stubbing your toe is is something that it's very clear we know, having stubbed our toes enough in our lives, that this just comes and goes. And of course, I think this is one of the critical things. The difference between emotions and physical pain is that there's much more of a tendency to take emotions personally and to think of them as I than there is physical pain. Physical pain we don't like, but we don't tend to think, I am this back pain or I am this headache. We just think, oh, I want to get rid of this. But if we can bring that same kind of attitude to emotional pain, then it becomes much less of a problem. And as we know, like the secondary problem of difficult emotions, after just the unpleasantness of them, is what we do with them mentally, and how we reproduce the feeling, how we actually build on the feeling by thinking about it, analyzing it, struggling with it, identifying with it. And when we can step out of all that proliferation, that papancha, then it becomes very simple, just like stubbing your toe. You don't stub your toe and then sit down and be like, I need to call my therapist, about my toe. It's like, no, it's just like, ow, it'll go away, But can we do that when there's a moment of anger or sadness? Can we just go, oh, well, this is here right now. It's okay. It'll fade. And it's just, tends to pass much more quickly when that's our relationship to it. Remember in the book Mindfulness-Based Relapse Prevention that Alan Marlatt and his team wrote, they talked a lot about smoking, the addiction to smoking. And it was just, for their research purposes, I think that might have been maybe a little easier, because it doesn't have the same as addictive as cigarettes are. They don't tend to have the same psychological impact that drugs and alcohol have. But one of the things that really stands out that it's one of the few things I remember from that book is that they found that the craving for a cigarette only lasted a few minutes. And when they could explain that to people and get them to watch the craving and see how long it lasted and realize, oh, that craving doesn't last forever. It's not like, oh, a craving for a cigarette comes up, and then if I don't smoke, it just stays at the same level. It's not how it works. A craving comes up, and then if I don't smoke, it just fades away. Now it comes back, of course. As I say, with any addiction, it's going to come back. But we also know that when you keep not acting on the craving, that it just gets weaker and weaker. And, that's, again, like a kind of a physical version of what I'm talking about. How when we don't react to the feeling, we don't try to run with it, it just it tends to fade. And over time, when we have these tendencies towards afflictive emotions, they tend not to be able to take hold when we don't feed them, when they don't get the ordinary kind of feeding that we've given them. And I am talking very much out of my personal experience. I'm not just talking theoretically or giving Dharma talk here. This is very much my own experience. And many of you, probably most of you, have heard me talk about my struggles with depression. And I really, in recent years, decade or so, I've had this shift that's based on this exact process. And it's incredibly powerful. So it really is. So taking refuge, coming back to this theme, is not, as I say, a ritual or a religious, ritual, or any kind of just doing something, a habit, or some magical or faith-based thing. It's really meant to remind us how to view our lives, how to view our minds, how to view our experience, and to keep that in mind. I mean, it really is like, it's really helpful to reflect on the Dharma like regularly. It has a huge impact. It's obviously, I believe it's really helpful to meditate every day, but your meditation really needs to be supplemented by reflection as well, and which is a great reason to read, right, a little Dharma, or maybe like my daily contemplations book. But to read some Dharma each day, to keep it on the tip of your mind, so that it doesn't require like hearing a Dharma talk to remember the refuge, or to remember impermanence, or to remember dukkha. It's like that's how you start to view your life, and how you start to see your experiences through that lens. So I hope that was helpful, and I will leave it at that. And I'll open it up if anybody wants to participate in any way. Thank you. And Angela, thank you for finding that book. Yeah, I finally got myself a Kindle after many years, and been really enjoying being able to just download a book like that and then send it to my Kindle. Yeah. So, Angela, how's the MMTCP coming?
Yeah. Thanks for asking. It's going well. Right now reflecting on forgiveness.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, and it's interesting. It's been reflecting on that, and actually I was just talking to a friend today. We both take care of our parents. She takes care of both of her parents. She lives with them still. She's a little older than me, actually. And, I've been taking care of my dad
Oh,
to different extents, worrying about him since I was in high school, really.
no. Oh,
And yeah, taking more care of him in recent years. And so anyway, it was interesting because we were talking about, I shared with her about the three characteristics, and because I just felt like, yeah, we were talking about taking things personally and just, being sensitive and how hard it is when we try so hard, to help, and we care so much about people, in our lives. And I've really been working with that over the last few weeks as I've been like doing these things, that I know it's helping my dad, but it's also like there's only so much that I can do, and I
yeah.
have to let go. And recovery, like talking to my sponsor, and even thinking about the Dharma and karma, and like taking action, and conversations that we've had in this class have been helpful for me before, just about um yeah, like there's some phrase that you shared, or someone shared, but it's like something about, my wishes for you, like I can't,
Uh-huh.
yeah, no matter what my wishes for you are.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the equanimity. It's
Yeah.
the equanimity line. It's uh um your your karma, or your happiness or unhappiness is based on your own actions, not upon my wishes for you. It's
Exactly.
not exactly it. It's very
Yeah.
close, though. Yeah.
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 Yeah. It gets deep.
Yeah, that's a really good reminder. That's definitely, oh, right. It's kind of a serenity prayer-ish.
Mm,
It's like, but taking it further, like making it very personal, like, and it comes because, you have loving kindness, may you be happy. And then and then compassion, may you be free from suffering. Mudita, may you experience joy. And then it's like, you know what? Even though I'm wishing all those things for you, my
yeah.
wishes, aren't going to make them come true. It's really
Mm,
your karma is your own. It's
right.
dependent upon your own actions.
Right. Which is so helpful in this, kind of position. And but yeah, just as you were saying, like recalling the Dharma and how helpful it is. I really, yeah, every reminder is helpful. I was sharing with her today, like not perfect, not permanent, not personal, just kind
Oh
of
yeah,
easy way
yeah.
to,
Debbie's version. I don't know where she
yeah.
got that. It's great.
Yeah, I think she got it from Anne, also shared it here
Uh
recently.
huh.
Um, Ruth King, I think.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Good.
So, but yeah, anyway, thank you so much. It's so nice to be here, and yeah, be back with you on a Friday evening. So,
Thanks. Yeah.
um,
Well, it's nice to be doing it at 7 p.m. rather than
yeah.
last week. I was at Spirit Rock at 10:15. That was a
Oh,
little bit
I
much.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually generated enough energy, and actually it was a pleasant evening.
Yeah, good.
Good.
Thank
Good
you.
to hear from you. Eric, how are you doing? What's up? Is that coconut water you have there?
One's a probiotic drink and this water. I know. I think that looks like a beer, and I was like worried.
It did
I
look
didn't
a
want
little
to
like a
trigger
beer, but
anyone.
I trusted that it was not. Yes.
Good to see you.
Yeah, you
Good to
too.
see everyone here. I actually haven't been in a little while, and I missed you guys. And I had really a lot of things you talked about today resonated with me, especially when you were talking about the cigarette and the craving, how it doesn't last very long, but um, and I was reading in Living Sober last week in a group, and we were talking about, taking our addictions one day at a time, sometimes 1 minute at a time, sometimes one breath at a time. And I haven't had a craving for a drink in a long time, but I am not relieved of crazy. So a big part of my concerns are I have worry and anxiety and my thinking, and I went in and replaced drinking with the word thinking in this passage in Living Sober, which is like, I'm not going to try and think today, or I'm not going to try and think right now.
Yeah.
And this was exactly we could go on Friday. And I really made an effort on that through the weekend. And I had such a better weekend. And a part of it was just like, I'm not going to look at my emails because they are a source of tremendous anxiety for me. But that was super helpful. Really, what I wanted to ask you, though, is it was suggested to me in Doksan last weekend that attention is effortless. And when that was relayed to me, I really wanted to reject that premise, but I kind of wanted to run it by you to see if you've heard something to that effect or your thoughts on that. And then I'll shut up and listen.
Well, that's, it's a good question, because there is this saying, and it is definitely a Zen-ish saying, which is about effortless effort. And I mean, yeah. Not sure what to say about that. I mean, obviously there's a traditional teaching on 4 kinds of effort, so there's 4 efforts. There's the effort to avoid unwholesome states, the effort to abandon unwholesome states, the effort to cultivate wholesome states, the effort to maintain wholesome states. But, the idea, I think, that is being pointed at is that effort can turn into striving. And once there's striving, it's counterproductive. It's going against the whole principle of letting go, and the principle of clinging causes suffering, or craving causes suffering. So, but it's kind of like you have to get the momentum going. You got to start. I'm thinking of riding a bike. You get going, and once you get going, then you can just coast for a while. But if there isn't a degree of concentration there, then, some application of effort is really required. But to me, the most important part of effort is showing up. It's just putting in the time on the cushion. Just like this most important effort in recovery is showing up. And I mean, the other most important effort of recovery is to not act on craving, right? So that it can see that's like effortless, right? In a way, to stay sober. You don't have to make an effort to stay sober. You just don't do the action. So I think I understand the idea, and when I am in a flow in my practice, it definitely gets to that point of effortlessness, but that's not always there, and I can't just sort of go, oh well, don't make any effort. But as I say, I mean, the key point to me is the quality of effort. If it's an effort that has striving in it, then it's going to be counterproductive. And that's why in Zen they like that. idea of effortless effort because they understand that striving is so common. And I would say that in a way, the way Zen practice is set up in such a structured way can actually trigger more efforting in a way. It's like, okay, do this, sit like this, and then it's like, okay, don't make any effort. And you're like, but you're making, so I don't know, that's my take. So, but sometimes it's dangerous to mix traditions, because they're talking about the same thing, but they're using different language, sort of coming from different places. Yeah, a good question. So, I want to let you guys know that I am going to be going on a 6-week retreat starting October 24th, and I am inviting people to support me on my retreat by making dana donations to me. It is expensive, and I can afford it. I wouldn't be going if I couldn't afford it, but it will be a great benefit to me, and I'd like to think it's good karma. I'm inviting you to come in spirit, John. Yes, I will be doing loving kindness meditation for you, but I am inviting people to support me on that retreat, just as as my companions on this path. And I'm trying that out as a way of it's like I'm going to ask for help. So there you go. So anybody who wants to donate, I don't have anything more to give you than what I'm giving you already. I mean, I'll sign a book if you want me to, but anyway, have a thought about it. And meanwhile, I really do hope folks will show up for these day-longs in Berkeley and Redwood City. The next time I'll be teaching a day-long will be for Spirit Rock on December 30th, and that will be online. So other than that, just be these classes. So, and then we have some retreats, and I'm going to start advertising. We have a retreat scheduled for the end of February next year, as well as one in Southern California. And then I'm going to New Orleans and the Midwest. And so a lot of retreats next year. And so that's one of the reasons I want to do my own retreat now, because once I get enlightened, I'm going to be able to get, really radiate a lot of juice to you guys. It's even going to go right through Zoom. That'll be what I'm working on, is try to do Zoom transmission. So just as to close, like I really encourage you to reflect. I make the refuges. I say the refuges to myself each morning after my morning meditation, and I try to reflect on what they mean and what intention I'm trying to set. So I encourage you to integrate something like that into your practice. So for those who can, I will see you on Tuesday. And stay safe. Have a good weekend. Peace.
Thank you,
Brothers
Kevin.
and sisters. Thanks.